Okay, so some friends and I were at Mr. Goody's, the ice cream shop, and we were on the way home. I was driving, and my friend was in passenger seat and back seat, and basically this truck started like following our car. And in my mind, I was just like, maybe I'm going slow, but I was going the speed limit, and I wasn't. I mean, me and my friends were talking, but I was driving like safe, like I wasn't doing anything questionable. Um, and he kept like tailing me, so I would just kind of get away, like speed forward a little, and we were in like a pretty deep conversation. So after a while, I was more focused on the conversation than the truck. But we got off of an exit, and I had like forgotten about the truck. But as we were pulling off the exit, the truck like got right up on us, and so I like really like shot forward, was like, okay, I'm just gonna give this truck a lot of clearance to like just go. And so I shut off, and we got off on like another highway, and I just kind of got over in another lane so that the truck could go past me. And I thought, in my mind, I was just like, okay, it's gone. And so we kept on talking, but we were like a few minutes away from Liberty. But I kind of stopped thinking about the truck like altogether. I was like, there's no way they're following us anymore. But then I pulled off onto like basically the north, like the Tilly, the Subco lot, and I pulled into like that little parking lot over there, and it was pretty late at night, so there weren't a lot of cars in the lot, and no one else was like really pulling in like how you go in there in the middle of the day and there's like cars everywhere. It wasn't really like that. But I pulled in, and then right behind me, like my friend was about to get out of the car, and like 15 seconds go by, and then the huge truck just pulls right behind us, and we're like, okay, that's weird. And I like told my friend, I was like, wait, shut the door, like, and I remember I even said like, I feel unsafe, just because the way that the truck was like pulling up behind us. I was like, something's not right. And I thought maybe it's just like a weird coincidence and they need to go around us. So I was like kind of in the middle of like in the street, I was kind of in the middle. So I pulled over to the side of the parking lot and put on my hazards so that they could go around me. And instead of going around me, the truck just pulled like right behind me and then put on their hazards. And I was like, oh my gosh, what's happening? And I rolled down my window, and I was like, maybe like they need to tell me something, or I don't know. I didn't really know what it was. But I rolled down my window to see if they were saying something. And I rolled down my window, and we just heard someone shout, let me see your hands. And I was like, what? Am I like getting arrested right now? Like I thought it might have been like the police or something. I was like, maybe I did something wrong, or I don't know. I really didn't know what it was, but it was a big white truck. And I was like, okay, if it's the police, I feel like they should have let me know that it was the police by now, like put on some sirens or shown a badge or something. But they didn't. And I just like got a really weird feeling. I was like, this is not, you just like, my heart like knew something wasn't right. So I just like slammed on the gas and started like weaving through the parking lot, and the truck started following us, and we were literally like going in like between the cars, like with the truck following me. And I was like, I told my friend Caleb, who was in the passenger seat, I was like, call the police. And I remember he was like, I'm calling LUPD. And he was like, do I call the emergency services or the non-emergency services? So I call the emergency services. And so he did. And so he was on the phone with them kind of the rest of the, like while this was happening, he was on the phone with them. But the man was still following us. And finally I pulled in between these two cars that the big truck couldn't fit through. And that kind of made him mad, because then he had to stop and like reverse and go somewhere else, like go around a different way. So we kind of lost him for a second. Like I got a good head start on him, and I whipped like in front of the gym, like where you go into the gym, so around the building. And there was people coming out of the gym, and in my mind I was just like, I need to get other people like involved so that someone knows that this is happening, so someone can get help. So Caleb's still on the phone with LUPD. I roll down my window, and there's people coming out of the gym, and I start shouting like something along the lines of like, hey, someone's following us. There's a truck following us. I think he's trying to hurt us. We feel unsafe. I was just trying to make it very clear, like, we don't really know what's going on, but something's wrong. And this guy, like, with his friends, like, came up and was, like, kind of leaning against my window and was like, what are you saying? And obviously no one, like, believed me, because they all thought I was joking, or, like, it was understandable that they were kind of taken aback by it at first. But one guy was like, wait, are you actually okay? And I was like, no, someone's, like, actually following us. And then out of nowhere, the truck, like, pulls up behind us, and I just remember I was looking at the man who was at my window, and he just looked at the truck and then like kind of took a few steps back, like stumbled backward, and then fell like onto the ground. And everyone was like screaming, and we just looked, and the truck had these huge lights on the top of it, and I just saw like in my rearview mirror a silhouette of a man, but I just saw him holding something like this, like running up to our car. We just started, and someone threw out the word gun, like someone was like, I think he has a gun, and then everyone outside was like saying it. So like in my mind, I was just like, I have to get out of here. So I just slammed on the gas, and we whipped away, and we shot out of the parking lot, and we were just like, where do we go? Because none of us lived on, or my friend lives on campus, but he lives in Commons 1 and 2, so like opposite side of campus. So we were like, where do we go? And I was literally trying to speed through campus so that we would get pulled over, so we would have a police officer there with us. But no one stopped me. I was going like 80. Like, we were just freaking out. And then we pulled up to the shoe. None of us live in the shoe, and we just left my car like literally doors open, hazards on. We just ran inside and we're like banging on the doors because we didn't know if he was still following us or not. And someone let us in, and we just like ran and went to a random floor and hid on in one of the common rooms. But the police said like, we have him. On the phone they were like, we stopped him, like LUPD are walking up to the truck now, and they like kept us updated. But then they weirdly were just like, have a good night. Yeah, and just like they were like, they weren't never like, are you okay, or like it was very much us in the first place who were like, can you send someone to talk to us and help us? Like they weren't even wanting to send anyone to come and talk to us. They were just kind of wanting us to like, okay, like it's done, we got him, like that's it. It's really weird.
Yeah. Okay. So we were gonna ask. What were the other ones we were gonna ask?
What do I wish they had done differently?
What do you wish they would have done differently?
Well, number one, like I said, I think it should have been a no-brainer that someone should have come and helped. Like an LUPD officer should have been sent to us right away. Because it was very much like we hung up with LUPD because they got the guy in custody, and we weren't sure if they were arresting him. We weren't sure what he was getting charged for. We had no idea any of the details, but we had literally just been like had a gun pulled on us. So we were obviously shaken up. We obviously didn't know where the man was. We weren't getting. We kept having to call LUPD back and being like, "Can you give us updates?" And they just kept being like, "No, we can't give you any updates. We can't tell you if he's arrested. We can't tell you if he had a gun. We can't tell you any of these things." And in our minds, we're like, it is your job to keep us safe, and we feel unsafe until you give us more information about this guy. Because as of right now, he could still be on the campus. You know, you could have the wrong guy, or you could have just talked to him and then let him go, and he still knows what my car looks like. You know, so until you like affirm us in the fact that he has been arrested and is going to be disciplined for this, I don't feel safe on your campus where it's your job to make me feel safe. So I don't think it's very fair for us to have to do all the work to reach out to you, and we were literally given bare minimum information. And then one woman was like starting to get an attitude with us, and we were like, "Ma'am, we were just held like literally with a gun to my car. Like, we're obviously shaken, and this is your job. You need to be comforting us. Like, you need to send someone." And she was like, "Well, do you want someone to come?" We were like, "Yeah, we want someone to come and talk to us. Like, we don't feel comfortable. We don't feel safe." And then she was like, "Well, right now the best I can do is send you a witness report to fill out." And we were like, "We're not witnesses. Like, we didn't just watch this happen. Like, we are victims. The gun was held to us, to my car. Like, we need more than just, oh yeah, we saw it." Like, she was like it felt like she was trying to like gaslight us. She was like, at one point she was like, are you sure there was a gun?" And we were like, I mean, we saw a silhouette of him holding something. We heard the word gun. We're going to say it's a gun based on those context clues. But like, unless you're saying, no, he didn't have a gun, is that what you're saying? And she was like, oh no, yeah, he had a gun. We're just making sure you guys saw it. And I was like, what? Like, what is this? And then it was like very much like, I feel like with the circumstances, the whole school should have gone in lockdown, at least north. Something should have happened more than it did. Because come to find out, we found out he had 2 guns in his car. And he was extremely high and extremely drunk. So the man ended up being arrested. We ended up getting LUPD to cooperate with us. But then we were in their station till like 1:30, filling out these reports. There's one officer, I wish I remember his name, who was like super helpful. But everyone else we talked to that night was probably worst case scenario person we could talk to. And it was the man who ended up being sent to talk to us. So it was cool because we were like scared that the person who came was going to be very much like the woman on the phone. And it was going to be like very, I don't know, hard to work with them. But I don't know. We're now waiting to go to court. The man's going to be charged with felonies. So we're going to have to go and testify against him. And that's the next step.